Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Happy Saturday. Today is going to be all about the swords, the air cards, some of the very big challenges in the wild unknown tarot. And this is something that you have asked me to discuss. And so this is the second of 2 weeks discussing the Wild Unknown Tarot. There are other videos, a whole playlist, which is linked in the description box below. And I will add all of these Saturday chats to that list as well. Last week it was about the element of water and the cups cards. So welcome, Angela. I am also doing a series on mini series on the tarot and the emotions. You can see the link for the intro video there. This was something that arose during my Advent Calendar series, where I gave you an exercise to help explore your emotional situation in terms of the tarot and how to better work with releasing that energy. And I'm finding that this deck, the Wild Unknown Tarot, is one that certainly brings up a lot of energy that wants to move. And I think partly this is coming through the energy of the creatrix herself, who, now, we talked last week and I suggested that this particular tarot deck is one that is all about letting go. It's all about release. And in that same way, I feel like this is a deck that wants us to name, explore the hard stuff so that we indeed can release it and let it go. And so I said today is about energy, the element of air. The element of air is indeed in the heart space. So whether you're working through the paradigm of the tree of life or the paradigm of the chakras, we're working with the element of air here in Tiferet or in Anahat. This is the union of the divine masculine, divine feminine, tree of life. We're talking about the top of the two pillars coming together in Tiferet. Kings and queens come together to create the knights in the heart space in Tiferet. And then in the chakra system, we're looking at this union of the upward and downward facing triangles and this place where we bring together peace, bring together all of this to create peace and beauty. And this is also the, let me get the majors for today. This is also a very interesting consideration when we're looking at the Gemini card, which is lovers. So Gemini is about the archetype of the twins, and it's also about this place of union of divine and masculine, divine feminine and masculine. So we'll get to that in a little bit. I have two different Wild Unknown Tarot decks on the table. The first one I'm going to do a reading with, and I want to just kind of explore how can we, so these collective readings are meant to touch you on a collective level, but also know that there may be something quite personal here. This is from the Tattered Wings Oracle, and I have been working with this, doing draws as I do the exercises for my Tarot and Emotions course. And it's really interesting. I just drew this card, and when I drew it, it was upside down. And to me, this looked like the beak of a crane and the wings, and like this bird was taking off from a planet of sorts. And then I turned it over and I saw this card of expansion in the moonlight. And so I really want to think about this in terms of the Suit of Swords. How can we deepen our understanding of our current space, our current heart space? Learning to expand the heart space. And when I think about the wings and I think about the swords, it makes me think about the fragility of bony structures and how important all of the connective tissue is, so that in the case of the human body, right, we have the lungs and we can breathe, but all of that needs to work together. And so there's something here about the element of air, the suit of swords, breath, the physical body itself, its health and its nourishing. And then, of course, we have this mind-body connection. And whether you connect mind and thought with the brain, or you think of it more on a collective level, not collective, but let's say cellular level, that there is an intelligence in every cell of the body. That intelligence is not exclusive to the brain, that there is a living and vital intelligence in every organ, in every part of the body. There still is, energy's moving through me crazily, there still is this connection to the clarity, the voice, and all of this in the suit of swords as well. It's a really complex energy. And of course, you can feel that in wings and flight and air and all of that as well. So an abundance of connections. And I think this is one of the reasons it makes it the most complex of suits. So my question here is, where is the heart? Where is the heart? I'm going to look for the significator of the sun and just have a couple of reflections on that. The sun being the planet of Tiferet. Okay, these are well shuffled off air before I came on. I'm going to cut, and I'm just going to do this very simply and look for the sun. Very easy card to locate in this deck. This is the well-known first edition, in case there's some cards that look a little bit different and you're not familiar with this particular one. So we're looking for a very orange card. There's the Lovers. Here it is. Okay, so where is the sun? Where is the heart? Well, ooh, this is very cool. I want to say it's waiting for us. It's waiting for us. Next week, March, end of March 31st, April 1st, we move into the second decan of Aries. And hello, Donna. Hello, welcome. Second decan of Aries, and everyone that is off air and not in the chat, offline and watching TV and not in the chat. Hello, welcome to all of you too. So this is the next decan that we're moving into, which is ruled by the sun. Sun is a wonderful card because it is also very, let's say, it is very happy in the sign of Aries, where the sun is right now. So I kind of like that. So this, where is the heart? It is in Aries. It is in the sun. The sun is warm, and it is in a place that is ready for us to acknowledge an opportunity, a growth, an opening, and that indeed we are all, each in our own unique ways, in this place of, I think, revealing our unique I feel like there's a bit of a project here in that we're each in our own way revealing ourselves to ourselves. The unfolding in the Two of Pentacles has this place, you see, the Two of Pentacles opens to the Three of Pentacles, and it is an awakening in the material world. It is the beginning of the development of things here. So we have this connection with two cardinal signs. So we have the cardinal sign of Capricorn here, and the cardinal sign of Aries with these two cards. And this particular decan is not the sun. It's the Four of Pentacles that is the sun. So not a perfect alignment of cards, but it is... I feel like it's wanting us to be courageous. It's wanting us to be brave. And look, we have this Capricorn card right here and the Mother of Pentacles. So a very Capricornian group of cards over on this side, and very sort of fiery cards over on this side. Let's not be afraid to step into and it's funny, I'm always, sometimes when I pause, I'm actually feeling what's going on in my body, and I almost feel like my heart wants to burst open. And I understand how important that is. So it feels like that word breakthrough. If you have the Osho Zen tarot deck somewhere deep in your tarot library, go get it out. Get out the breakthrough card. This is exactly what this feels like. And welcome to Mary Beth and Saskia. Thank you for being here. Okay. And those of you that want to go down another rabbit hole, thank you for that, Donna. Are you ready? Are you okay with transformation? And I think that's partly why I say it's, you never have to go there if you don't want to. Spirit will always be kind of nudging behind you. So what do you need to do to prepare for this transformation? I think there's a lot of courage that is required, and we're being asked to start anew, to begin anew. Trust is so important here. How does this oracle make you feel? I almost feel like she expands in the night because that's where she feels the safest. And yet she stands in the luminosity of the full moon, which is fully, which is where the sun is fully reflected. So she's also in her divine masculine. This is the wrong box. So interesting. Wild Unknown Tarot, first edition, does not fit in the mass market box. It's much thicker, clunkier to shuffle. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at these cards, all of these swords. And hello, welcome to Ken. And then we have a bunch of majors that I've pulled out as well too. So I like to sort of work at this in a more of a global sense. So I've got the 14 sword cards here today. That's part of our journey. And then I have mutable air, cardinal air, fixed air, and then I have also primordial air, the Fool, and the Magician card, which we can also deal with as the element of air, planet of Mercury, connected to our higher intelligence. Hello to Dee. And Dr. K is Ken or Kenton, if you're looking for a name. All right, so let us begin here. Another observation that I have is that this is the least colorful of suits. And if I were to leaf through the other three suits, you would see that in each of the other suits, there is 3 cards that have a colored background. And this is the only suit that doesn't have that. There are splashes of color here and there. You can see there's one in the daughter, and there is one rainbow. There is an eclipse, a colorful snake, and then the thread around the swords in the 3. So not a lot of color in this particular suit. I think maybe I'm going to lead with this. I want to talk about the earthworms. I think this is important here. So we have earthworms in the 9 and in the 5. What is the gift of the worm? Well, those of you that garden certainly know they create beautiful soil. They compost all of the garbage, all of the leftovers. I don't know if they really care if it's beautiful compost such as our vegetable scraps, or if it's other things such as paper and other things we throw onto our compost bin. But the earthworms have this skill of recycling energy and turning it into something that helps us to grow beautiful plants and vegetables. And I really think the earthworm is quite intentional here. And you might see, I don't know if you see this one. I mean, I do see the earthworm here again. And these 2 challenging cards, the 5 and the 9, both have the earthworm. And you can see that the top part of the worm here has already has a scar. It's already been cut once before, and it has healed. The way the swords are arranged in this 5 makes me think of that kind of argument or issue where both sides have valid points. There's also a scar on this half. So both of the parties here, both halves of this worm, have been through trauma before. They've been broken before. And here we are on opposite sides of an issue. And I think if you look, there's different sort of gestures, if you will. These 2 swords are crossed. These 2 are not. And you might be able to read something into that. I feel like with the suit of swords, and I'm talking about, this is not only a mind-heart connection, but finding unification between thought and what's actually coming out of your mouth. I want to pause here for a second. I did a video last week, so I have another series that's going on my channel on the Minkyate Tarot. Absolutely fascinated with this 98 card deck, and I never thought I would have the courage to tackle a deep dive into it, because I want to use it as a reading deck. And in the Minkyate Tarot, there are 7 cards. So there are 7 virtue cards in the tarot, and that's what I covered in the last video. And I never, in all the years I've been reading tarot, have thought about strength and justice and temperance in terms of virtues. And I spent days and days and days preparing for this video and thinking about all of the work that I have done with yoga. And if you know anything about yoga, you'll know that there are 10 precepts, the yamas and the niyamas, that are fundamental to living as a yogi. And some of them are easier to incorporate into everyday life. Others are more challenging. And what I did was I thought about these old interpretations of the virtues. And then I was thinking about the yogic precepts that are even older, right? Yogic precepts are much older than Plato and Aristotle, and they've been around for a few thousand years, like 5. So I don't know, it felt in a way like a seminal work. It felt like a seminal work, and so I've been thinking about just values. And do you know Bridget Esselmont? She's a tarot reader, out of Australia. She's got quite a big tarot business. I believe she has decks and she sells courses, and she is anyway, I saw a post of hers, and it was about how to be a more successful tarot reader. And it was, she talked about, I was curious what her 5 things were. So I looked it up and sent in my email and whatnot. And it was very much in alignment with the way I work, in that this is not about future telling. This is about diving deep into our pains and our aches. And it is about understanding bigger picture things. It's amazing how the cards can help us to quite literally unearth things that we're unable to do in another way. I was explaining to someone that, people often come to me, they've been through talk therapy, they've been through all kinds of different strategies in clinical counseling. Maybe they've also had different kinds of physical support through physical therapy or different media, and they come to me when they're at the end of their rope. And I feel like my job is to help them bring all of those tools they've already acquired together. And the tarot is such a beautiful thing for that. So however you respond to these cards, they're so kind of challenging to look at. Yeah, exactly, Dee. Tarot as therapy. It gives us an opportunity to see what we might not be willing to say without the little nudge of the cards. And thank you, Donna. I just felt really full after doing that video. Like my cup was full after that. Okay, so I just wanted to mention these worms and for you to think about composting and to think about the why the worms might be in this suit of swords. And I think there is a relationship here also with the earth and how important it is when we get lost in the air, how important it is to ground, to get into the ground, to get our feet on the ground, to land, to exhale. So there's a lot that is going on there. I like that. Thank you for sharing that, Donna. Let's just look at the color, because I mentioned the absence of color in this particular suit. This one also has a colorful frame. The only one in this suit that has color in the frame. So that may very well be significant. 1, 2, oh, this one has color. There's a little bit of color. 6 of the cards in the main part of the illustration have no color. That means 8 of them have a touch of color. I think I want to go here next. We'll talk about the rainbow colors after that. So let's go here. Agnya chakra, third eye chakra. They're the frontal point of it anyway. There's an innocence to the lamb here. Of course, you can bring in biblical connections. But this little lamb has awakened. This feels like the end of the journey in the Four of Swords. And that in the sacred space of the four, the safety of the Four of Swords, this little lamb has been able to take time to clear the mind. And this is the first part of the journey of chakra sadhana. So when we are working with the chakras and we are wanting to activate, cleanse, clear, stimulate the chakras so that we can do some healing, the first chakra, in the way that I have studied the chakras and in the way that, because I know there's more than one approach, but in this particular way of thinking, if we are able to activate, stimulate, awaken, decalcify the third eye chakra, then we have clearer sight. Then, and only then, are we better capable of dealing with the trash that lives in the first, second, and third chakras. So the harder we work, the more dedicated we are in third eye practices, the less tumultuous our journey will be in the lower three chakras, because the lower three chakras are the hardest. They are full of sorrow, tendencies, difficult karmas, all kinds of things that send us to the couch of the therapist, among other places, to the bottle, to the shopping channel, wherever your place is. And so there's something about this awakening in the third eye chakra. I just had a random thought. Wow, this is awesome. I love this. So I also want to say that you can do this too. When you are struggling with a deck, just do what I'm doing. Put the cards on the table and just start talking. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can talk to your whatever's in front of your table. Because until you start talking, you're not going to have these aha moments. Okay, so here's my little thought that came through. Now I'm getting all heated because I'm excited about this thought. All right. I cannot believe this. I really can't. I have never associated this card with Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is a practice usually done reclined, where we we follow a guided meditation. It is a pratyahara practice, and we do it on our backs, and it can help to cleanse and clear all kinds of things. And I'm just looking how one of these swords is kind of perfectly positioned over the third eye chakra. One is over the heart and one is over the throat. I never noticed that before. So I'm just kind of blown away by that. Did you know that the Golden Dawn adepts did quite a bit of study of the I think they didn't call them Hindu, they didn't call them yogic, I forget what the term was, but they did a lot, they learned a lot about the practices, the chakra practices. It wasn't something that was out of their wheelhouse. So it doesn't surprise me when my friend Jonathan Daly talks about the Ten of Swords in the Pamela Coleman Smith deck, and talks about certain points that are being opened up. So here, this Four of Swords, this lamb, this is one of clear sight. The swords are, the energy of the sword is, again, pointing down to earth. They have a grounding energy, which harmonizes the awakening energy, right? So there's this balance in the card. And those of you that meditate and do these kind of practices know that the energy of grounding is absolutely essential before you meditate. And Donna says that I think of the Three of Swords as the aha moment, the feeling in our heart when it is pierced by a thought or an idea. So let's go to this. Let's look at the relationship between these three cards. The relationship, because they are quite a story. I do like the ecliptic energy in the two. It just reminds me how important and it is to, when you have a Two of Swords moment, to not let it pass by. Like, it feels like it's really important to spend time with it, to allow it to fully develop and arise. We looked at the Two of Pentacles in the reading, and I just want to remind you that these twos are the precursor to the transformation. And they're often stimulated by other. Okay, so Donna says that I think of the Three of Swords as the aha moment, the feeling in our heart when it is pierced by a thought or an idea. Okay, so in Kim's card, Kim Kranz, creator of this deck, I really feel the restriction. So in yoga, there is this principle of holding, constricting, so that when you let go, there is a whoosh of energy that goes through. There, you get flooded by energy. So if you think about a posture such as eagle posture, eagle legs or eagle arms, if you know what that is. So you wrap your arms around and you hold the tourniquet. You have a tourniquet effect. And you hold it for a few breaths. And then when you release it, there's this surge of energy that goes through. And that's what I thought of, Donna, when you described your feeling in the Three of Swords. And in a way, if you think about, because often this is associated with grief, right? Some kind of grief. Grief, an archetype of grief. And in grief, we tend to hold on. We choose to contain the pain because we want to remember, because we're not ready to let go. And if you think about that, I mean, you can just think about this in terms of relaxation, guided relaxation. So if you can't calm down, if you can't, if you can't calm down, one of the things you can do is you inhale, you create a lot of tension. And then when you're ready to exhale, you open your hands. And you can do this with all of your muscles. You can do this with your legs. You can do it with your toes and hands. So as you inhale, you create tension. And as you exhale, you soften. And that's what I'm feeling here, is the tourniquet effect and the letting go. And that in the letting go, there is this almost flood. The floodgate is opened. This is very similar to the Ten of Swords in the Tarot of the She. In the Tarot of the She and the Ten of Swords, you actually see all the garbage coming out of the frontal point of the third eye chakra. It's kind of a disgusting card. But I love it. I love it. Because we finally let go enough that all this energy is leaving us. And it's a really cool card. So here I've got stay. So Dee said this really well. Holding the thought, holding the pain, holding the light. And in this process, it's like we acknowledge how important discernment is. We contain it. We allow ourselves to fully feel it. We allow ourselves to fully feel it, to fully experience it, to fully realize it. And in order to do that, we have to hold on. And then, in order for that light to shine through, we let go. We lie down. We take a nap. We go on retreat. We give ourselves a gift of 7-8 hours every night. We learn to meditate, whatever it is for you. And you can see that through the restriction, the containment in the Three of Swords, that this restriction, there's a little bit of blood that's dripping down here. You can see the energy beginning to release, but it doesn't fully release, and it releases in a higher way in the Four of Swords. And so here we have a heart-mind connection opening up. Then why do we get so scared again? Why does fear step in? Why does fear step in? We want to do it more fully, maybe. In this deck, there's a lot of cards that are down low in the darkness. Thanks, Mary Beth. And you'll notice there is it does become lighter, closer to the rainbow. This is a 6, after all. It is a 6, so the number 6 is the number of Tiferet, 3 points on the upward facing triangle, 3 points on the downward facing triangle. So the Six of Swords in that regard is it's a super enlightening card. Okay, it's not a major arcana, but the potential for serious enlightenment is possible here. We begin to realize everything is connected. Six of Swords. This is a really important card in the tarot. If you are doing a deck and walk and you're using a Crowley Thoth inspired deck, I want you to fast forward to your Aquarius cards and have a really good look at the Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is the middle decan of Aquarius. It's Mercury in Aquarius. And this is, on this deck, you see a mini version of the Rosy Cross that is on the back of the Crowley Thoth deck. And this is a very important symbol that is one of those symbols. There's a lot of them that include everything. All of life is included in the Rosy Cross. All of the elements, just everything is there. And when the Rosy Cross folds up, it creates a cube. And this is just a really beautiful thing to study. There is a whole chapter on this in Milo Duquette's Understanding the Thoth Tarot book, if you're interested in this. The way that this is described or illustrated in the Waite Smith Tarot doesn't do it justice. The potential here is enormous for deepening our understanding. And this is really important. Okay, and here goes Sadhana again, scrolling through her banners that she hasn't deleted. And of course, I'm going to put this up here. And of course, this is just a part of this beautiful writing, but I think this is part of the story of the suit of swords. Because it is unknown. It is, we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of becoming bigger, energetically bigger. Expansion, awakening is terrifying. And whether that is we're talking spiritually or we're talking, waking up from a relationship that no longer serves us. I think Dee really hit the nail on the head there. It's very, very difficult. And so think about what's going on here in the 8 and this journey of unfolding. If these wings awaken in this moment without letting the swords fall, then those wings will never fly. You need to let go before you open up. The rainbow. Okay, so there's quite a few rainbows in this deck. Some of them are circular, Some of them are in an arc. And that's a pretty familiar symbol in the tarot. If you look at the esoteric decks and the 14th arcanum, how important it is to transformation. And in especially the suit of wands and the suit of swords, we have this really big challenge. 5, 6, 7. Mars, Sun, Venus. This is a line on the tree of life that goes from top mid left through the Sun and down to Venus on the right. And oh my goodness, it is connected in a lot of ways. We're also looking at 5 as Mars, 7 as Venus. We're looking at issues of our masculine and our feminine, issues in relationship, our strength and our receptivity, among other things. And so we want to protect that one good thing that we have. And whether you feel like you need to take that one good thing and sneak away, or whether you feel like this little fox, you want to just curl up into a little ball, but you're so nervous, you've got to keep one eye open because you're afraid. This fear keeps arising again and again in the suit. And there are a lot of tarot decks that are even more challenging than this one in the suit of swords. And I feel that when the suit of swords, and this might not, maybe this doesn't do this for you in this deck, but I know a lot of people find this suit very challenging. It just feels too confronting, even though we're looking at animals and not humans. But this is terrible because we can't rest. We are on alert all the time. And that is a terrible place to be, because you're going to get so sick. When your adrenal system is on alert all the time, you have chronic fatigue, your digestion doesn't work well, you maybe start to develop things like tachycardia, you have panic attacks. It's a horrible place to be. And here in this picture, we're looking at all of these ideas overhead. And I kind of feel like this little fox, like there's one good thing. I can hold on to this. And I know I need to let the rest go. In the Lily White Tarot, the eagle takes the 7 swords and drops 2 behind. They can't take it all with them. So in the 7 of Swords, there's this need to let it go. Okay, so 7 of Swords. If we look at this in terms of 7 and Venus, and Venus being a planet where all of our senses are heightened, and we can become overwhelmed by our senses. This doesn't serve us in any way. Same thing happens in the 7 of Cups, in the 7 of Pentacles. You know, the 7s, it's all too much. There's too much stimulation. There is an invitation to just let it be in all of these 7s. Seven of fire can be exhausting. We're just overstimulated. And I want you to think about this little fox in terms of knowing that I need to just curl up and take a break, but I can't because I need to stay on alert. That's a really, really tough place to be. Okay. So, there's another metaphor I want to look at here, and that is noise. Noise. I have chronic tinnitus, so I know a thing or two about noise. And you can think about, if you don't have that issue, you might want to think about a radio. Those of you that know what a radio is. This is also something that happens in meditation, noise. And that is when the frequency is not quite dialed in. You're close, but you're not quite there. And it creates a lot of static, a lot of noise. When you are tuned in, that noise isn't there. There's this clarity. If you think about pip decks in general, if you want to think about the Tarot de Marseille and the Suit of Swords, I wonder if this one is, it's not sorted, but let's find some swords cards. So here is an Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords. There's a 10. Where's the 9? So what I want to say here is that when there is, and this happens in the Suit of Wands as well too, in the Tarot de Marseille, and that when there is a lot of energy there, it becomes overwhelming. It's just too much. And the only thing we can do is to tune in or lay down. We need to, in order to still the mind, in order to still the heart, in order to find our voice, we need to tune in and find the right word. The word that is going to that is the 9. Okay. 8, 9, and 10 of Swords. We need to tune in and find that word or that phrase that we've never been able to voice before. And then that creates silence. It's like you saying something to a partner, to a family, and they look at you, their jaws drop, and there's no more to say. All of this takes a tremendous amount of courage. And last Saturday, we looked at the challenges of this particular suit. And I think they work together. The suit of cups and the suit of swords are so potently interlinked. You cannot separate them, and you really can't separate any of the suits, but these two in particular are so importantly linked. Last week we were looking at the element of water, which is Swadhisthana chakra, the sacral chakra. Suit of Swords is the heart. And so you'll think about this in terms of relationships, that in order to get into the heart, come to the place of gratitude and compassion, we need to find our voice. We need to clear and still the mind. We need to know who we are. And a lot of this are things that we don't have time for. We choose not to focus on. And I think that is one of the beauties of the tarot, that this idea that tarot is therapeutic it's so wonderful. In the 10 of Swords here, we know that there's nothing else we can do but to lie down. This is the ultimate card of surrender. However this is drawn, and I don't really think there's a need for it to be drawn violently, but sometimes in order to get that message across, certain words need to be said, or we need to experience some terrible things in order to finally understand. And you see, the thing is that you can't just sit down and meditate. You have to learn how to breathe. You need to learn how to sit some way for an extended period of time, and that it's a journey. It's a journey in learning to breathe. And I want to go back to where I started today. Don't forget that this whole suit with the element of air and the heart, this is a heart-centered suit. We need to learn to breathe. You can think of the swords as the rib cage. And what we're learning in this particular suit is to expand the rib cage so that the heart has space to move energetically, if we're talking about the energetic heart, as well as the physical heart. So there's all these very cool intersections in the suit of swords. Decanically speaking, 2 of Cups follows 10 of Swords. Remember that, okay? Remember that. It is one of the coolest decanic connections. That one, remember I said there's something about these suits. And the other one that I find so fascinating is the 7 of Swords and the 8 of Cups. Okay, so this is a story from the end of Aquarius to the beginning of Pisces. 7 of Swords. Let those swords go so you can begin to move on emotionally. So the waters will flow. The waters are not going to flow if you hold on to the swords. There are historically systems of tarot where these two suits are interchanged, where the cups are swords, where the cups are air and the swords are water. So this is, thank you, Mary Beth. So this is, there's just something about understanding the profundity of these two suits that will make a world of difference to you reading the tarot. All right, Major Arcana. Element of air. Element of air. All right, so let's start with cardinal air. So here we are. This one is 2, 3, and 4 of swords. 2, 3, and 4 of swords. So 2 and 3 of swords is Queen of Swords. 4 of swords is King of Cups, decanically. I like this version of the deck. This, I didn't color this. This is was a special edition where the Justice card, I think for Pride, was colored. And this feels like the ecliptic energy of the 2 of swords. I don't know where the 2 of swords went, but the 2 of swords is the 2. Oh, it's right here. The 2 of swords. Maybe I was looking for the 3 of swords. It's important also to study the Justice card in terms of various perceptions, in terms of karma, in terms of adjustment. And also the relationship with, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the idea of personal karma, family karma. We have geographical karma. We are affected by global issues, global karmas. So harmony, seeking balance, learning about adapt, adjust, accommodate is very much a part of all of this. And notice how this sword is also going down. And the yin and the yang hold, again, we have an earth symbol here. We have an earth in an air card. So this is a very yogic thing in that when we are in the element of air, that we land, that there is a grounding element in the card. The cats have the whole world in their tails. Where is the other deck I put away? So just think about these relationships of among elements, these connections. I just want to look at the at the Justice card in the first edition. It's funny, you know, sometimes I see things in decks that I've been using for years, love to use, and then I see something and I go, what? Why have I not noticed that before? I'm just looking for the Justice card in the first edition. There's another one that's very different. Okay. I don't know why I can't find it. But what I did notice here too was that the Lover's card in the first edition is all blue. So blue for the element of air, which really shows an energy of, well, you could look at it in two ways. You could look at it so that with the blue coloring, that we have the resolution and the unification of the fire and the water. That something is solved. So to me, in that way, that blue card feels a lot more resolved than the other, which is a rainbow of colors. Okay, so I'm kind of rambling here. Go deeper. Go deeper. Find connections. Take your time. It is possible to resolve the confusion of this deck through building these energetic connections. The yin and the yang, the everything, is surrounded by the energy of the rainbow, hope, God, all light. It's really something. But in order to get there, we need to practice adjustment. And this also makes me think about the ripple in the pond kind of story. Yes, this is a diamond, and that's a whole other metaphor, but it also makes me think about one drop of water going into the pond and all of the effects that has, and sometimes we forget about that. And sometimes an adjustment is good for us and not for somebody else. All right, I think that's enough for today. I'm kind of losing my train of thought, and of course I'm going to carry on for several more weeks as I share some thoughts on this deck, and I hope this is meaningful to you, whether this is a deeper look at the Wild Unknown Tarot or bringing in layers of meaning to other decks that you are working with. Okay? Thank you. Thanks for being here. Talk to you soon. Namaste.